All right, we are live, and today we are here on USA Storm Watch, and I am Storm Specialist here with USA Storm Watch, Jonathan Mitchell. I'm with Ian, and we're going to talk a little bit about the spring weather here, and we're just going off what the Weather Service has for long-range outlooks. As you can see on the screen, first one is spring temperature outlook. And almost a good chunk, I'll say 80% of the country will be above their actual normals for that particular time of the year. The second part is the precipitation. Now, as we were saying earlier, as me and Ian were talking, just because the precipitation is below average, that does not mean there won't be a high in severe weather event across the spring. And again, you can see most of the Central Plains on down to the South Central Plains has below average, yes, below average precipitation. And the Ohio Valley and up there toward the Midwest, they have more of a above normal as well toward the Seattle area above normal. So, Ian, you got any comments on these outlooks?
Not at the moment, I don't.
Okay, so these are two different outlooks. Now that's just one.
Thing I
Um,
want to mention, only
let's
thing I
see.
want
And
to
then,
mention,
hmm
only thing I want to mention about the spring forecast is don't get your hopes up in that forecast because it will switch over the period of the spring months. You could, like, again, this is a La Nina weather pattern we are going into, but don't be stirred away by the fact that you ended up with more precipitation than you were dry, because this again is a forecast. This is
Yeah,
not
I
an
think this.
exact estimate.
Yeah, I think the
right.
same thing too, guys. I think the same thing.
Anyway, again, these outlooks, they are, um, I'm going to say this, they are what the National Weather Service thinks will happen over the spring. And realize today is just now March the 1st,
Yes,
meaning we
John.
just, storm season just started.
Yeah, here I'm gonna say something,
Go ahead,
Jonathan.
JD.
We already tracked our first severe weather season yesterday, and we still got ways to go. We could get storms all year long. We don't have to be in the springtime to get severe weather, right?
Right. Um, and the situations that we had yesterday in Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. Um, warm front caused all of that. We had warm front move through multiple states over the weekend, got them into the warm sector, plenty of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and possibly, I'm not sure if any of those storms produced tornadoes, but Ian sent me some earlier, and he was talking about how the storm in Louisiana had more of a
Yeah,
supercell, that all that twisting structure to it than rather than produce a tornado. So, it was more beauty than it was dangerous, and that's
And I
always a good
most
thing
of those storms
when it comes down
yesterday,
to the
most of those rotations you saw on radar yesterday were
hmm
likely more up in the cloud. They weren't necessarily getting down to the ground, but there was a few photos I've seen where it did have funnels halfway with
yeah,
it.
and that's
hmm
very dangerous. I mean, any tornadic storm you get is
that
very
mhm.
dangerous.
Yeah, any tornadic storm you get is dangerous, especially in this time of the year. Now, the Weather Service saying that we have, I'm not sure about an El Nino, but it's more of a La Nina, as you can see there, the synopsis. There's a 60% chance of a transition from a La Nina to ENSO neutral during the Northern Hemisphere spring, April to June. So, let me go ahead and say something about that. that means we will not, if we go ENSO neutral, that means we will not have El Nino or La Nina. It'll just be nothing. So if that happens, does that increase or decrease chances of severe weather? It does neither. So even with El Nino and La Nina, it also does neither. If we get severe weather, we get severe weather. And for people like Ian, that's good for them because they get to go out and chase.
And there's
Now
nothing.
for
And
people,
there's
if it becomes dangerous,
Yeah. Here's another thing I was going to put out to everybody. We
mm-hmm,
cannot
JD,
control the weather. We cannot control the weather. I've been getting on to people many times in the group chat that you cannot control the weather at times. Mother Nature will do anything she wants, right, Jonathan?
Okay. Also, to take in mind,
right?
if you're
That is true.
doing doing this spring outlook, we could towards the end we should talk about severe weather preparedness week.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, severe weather preparedness week is like 2 weeks away. Um,
No, it's
yeah,
now.
2 weeks away. Severe weather preparedness week is like 2 weeks away. So we're doing this since. Oh, okay. Well, we're also in our severe weather preparedness week then. So we're doing the spring outlook now, um, and we'll continue
To
with
let
the
you
severe
know,
weather preparedness week. Now, this is also a long thing as well.
problem.
This is the
A drought.
seasonal drought. Um, that's the seasonal drought. I just seen it. There's the latest drought monitor, and you can see over the
Mm-hmm.
southwest, as usual, they're always dry. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
if you go on over here toward the East Coast, look at New York. They have abnormally dry. Up there toward in Vermont, Maine, they have a moderate drought. So
That's bad.
there really isn't any telling. This is the drought here. This is the drought monthly outlook. This is for March 2021, and it thinks that most of Texas on up here toward California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, on up points northward will pretty much have drought consistent. Um,
Yeah.
and then toward the East Coast, you'll most likely be removed from your drought, except for Florida, Puerto Rico
Yeah.
as well. Hawaii, nothing, and Alaska, nothing. So that's that. Then again, this is take it with a whole lot of grain of salt. We know this is the National Weather Service, this is the official weather
Yes.
service, but take this with a lot of grain of salt because we're just now into March. And as you can
Mm-hmm.
see, when this was released over 2 weeks ago, February the 18th.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this could change.
This could be. Here's what concerns me is this could change. We may not even get a lot of severe weather. This is just a we're not fortune tellers. This means we things could change, Jonathan. We may not even get much this year. The forecast could just bust. You never know.
Exactly. 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 And that's, I'm telling you, that's what the National Weather Service is predicting. Nothing. And most of it being up toward the Ohio Valley. But again, take it with a lot of grain of salt. 2020 was a huge bust. Most of
Yes,
you
it
all didn't really
was,
get to do anything if you were a storm chaser. Um, 2020, we had coronavirus.
and we
So
still have it.
at the same time, it was a good thing. Yeah, and we still have the pandemic. But at the same time, it was a good thing that we didn't have much dangerous weather in 2020 because of the
Yeah,
pandemic. Now we're still in the pandemic, although it's starting to die down. We're still in the pandemic in
yeah,
2021, and the weather service is thinking, "Hey, there may not be much anything this year. How about hotter temperatures?" Um, and again, they're not even worried about flooding. So that's for the month. Here is the 6 to 10 day outlook for you here. March the 13th to February the 26th. You can see March the 13th to March the 26th, 2021. A good, I'll say 80% of the country will be above normal, while the other 20% below normal, and that's from California on up to Alaska.
mm-hmm,
But from Arizona, uh, New Mexico, or Arizona. Utah, Colorado points eastward all the way through the East Coast. You'll be above normal. Now, this other chart here that you see the mouse pointer is circling. The green means above normal rain. So
Okay.
that's also is in place over here, as you can see through the Ohio Valley and points northward, and then across the west coast from Washington State on down to northern California to southern Alaska. And then
Mm-hmm.
this brown means below normal, meaning it'll be drier from Texas on over to Florida into Pennsylvania. So
Mm.
um, it tell you with a lot of grain of salt.
Me,
But
I,
that is what that's what
Yeah.
who's talking, Ian?
oh,
Okay.
something tells me that that dry atmosphere down south may not pan up very good because they're right close to the Gulf, and when you get these storm systems to drive up, a lot of times the Gulf is usually the one that gets most of the precipitation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Yeah.
He's right. He's
Yes, he's
right.
right. Yep.
having a hard time
He's
believing
very
that
right.
pattern for them.
Yeah. Here's something else I was going to say too, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's.
Uh,
I'm having a hard
I was
Hmm.
just going to say, Ian texted me last night and said there is another chance of severe weather, and I do agree. It's going to get warm up here this week, close to 60, maybe even close to 70. And once the front moves in, that can be a recipe for severe weather. Is that what you said
Exactly.
last night?
And that
Is
will
that what you
happen
said?
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, and all you guys got to do,
time.
is be
The next
ready.
cold front moves through Thursday and Friday.
That was just a
That
long
next
term.
cold front moves across the U.S.
That
Go
was
ahead.
just our model. That wasn't like happening right this second. So
Right. I. Hmm. So again, like Ian said, I'm going to agree with Ian on this one. I'm going to go ahead and tell you why. Because I remember one year. I think it was 2011. Um,
Okay.
the
no,
South,
no, it wasn't. That was 2019. It was
the South,
2019.
South had way more
Uh,
rain in
mhm.
2012 than than the North did. Way
Well,
more.
that was my freshman year,
Right.
and we had a bunch of flooding up here in San Antonio that year. It was just like we could never get out of the water. It was just keep flooding and flooding and flooding. Then we had the severe weather risk. Then we had that high risk one time that hit April 27th and that same year. So was that a Nina that year?
That was
Or what
London.
was yeah,
Mm,
and
yes, that year that was a La Nina.
let's see, and I want to say something else too about this.
But this year,
Similar. This year
Doesn't
was similar
JD,
to
go ahead.
it doesn't mean we could get that this year, a high risk or a bunch of rain, but what could happen once we get that? We don't see much snow in these. You can see a little more ice, but lots of winter tornadoes are possible in these type of things. I learned from a TV channel. What do you think, Jonathan? And a La Nina year.
Anyway, as as getting ready to be over, and let me go ahead and touch on that about the La Nina. La Nina will soon end. It's a likely chance of it ending. It's 60% to 40%. 40% that La Nina sticks around, and then 60% that we are not in La Nina or El Nino.
you know what
And that is what we just read off of the Weather Service page.
you know what could
And
happen was to a neutral. Other things I've seen
right,
with and El Nino, if it goes to a neutral with no El Nino and La Nina, I've also seen some really active years for severe come out of those
Yeah,
where nothing is influencing anything. It's just going crazy.
yeah, I can see that. Like 2019, there was a bunch of severe
That
weather in 2019.
that was an El Nino year.
Yeah, and I seen that. I mean, I was tracking several severe weather events.
Where
exactly like the one in Oklahoma.
At high risk. like Ann and his friend tracked that. I mean, a high risk is very often you don't see a high risk very often. That's one thing on the table you don't see, Jonathan. Right?
Okay.
Yep, you're right. High risks are rare. They barely happen. So when it comes down to what we're looking at on these outlooks from the weather service, you need to take them with a lot of grain of salt because
Yeah.
look at you see the temperature outlook. At least 80% of the country is warm. So
Yeah.
that's one thing you need. You need the warm, you need the moisture, you need the lift. We got warm air.
In the
It
Cape.
just depends on how we get storm systems and if we get the moisture and the lift.
And here's one thing I've been seeing in the past. We had 2016. I remember when I was uh, almost 19. When I was 19 years old, we had um, a couple tornado warnings, and there's only one cell hit down there in Kentucky, and then traveled toward Harrisburg, Illinois, just a little bit. Those are probably just two parent supercells that can do that, and even one tornado will come down your street. That is a bad day, Jonathan. It doesn't have to be 20 tornadoes to be a bad day. Only one is bad, right,
Yeah,
Jonathan?
and let me give you an example. Joplin got hit in 2011, and I think
Yeah, I remember
2011
that.
was La Nina year. I think it
Yes,
was La Nina, and
that's what
Joplin
Reed
got
Timmer
torn
said.
up, and that was one of the worst tornadoes in history.
Don't forget, if you want to talk about tornadoes, talk about the St. Louis Good Friday, April 22nd,
Yeah, I
2011.
remember that, Jonathan.
Yeah,
Jonathan, I remember that
at
one.
the
The Good
airport.
Friday one. Yeah, it
Mhm.
damaged that airport up so bad, and I wasn't tracking that one, but I remember it was. You could have tornadoes. I know it's on the holidays, but you still got to take these storm systems very
Let
seriously. And
me
I
give
know a lot of. Okay.
in 2020 we did get those Easter storms. You forget?
Yeah.
We had multiple tornadoes over Easter weekend last year,
Yeah.
and that was probably the biggest severe event of 2020. Otherwise, it was quiet.
Yes. Yeah, because I remember I was working. I didn't even get a day off on Easter Sunday because I was working that day because we had that outbreak. And a lot of people think, why did the Storm Protection Center did go with a high risk? Because I don't think it was they kept it in moderate because I think you said it was not enough Cape, right, to get to
Oh,
moderate, right, to
plenty.
high. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh,
that day
no, there was
I'm
plenty.
gonna let Ian take this one.
all right, you
Oh,
take
there
it
was
in.
plenty that day. The I was even seeing on a couple of the scans the day before that it was going to be southeast Mississippi up into northwest Alabama. That was going to be the greatest chance to see a violent tornado or two because um it was riding a separate warm front that was
Mm-hmm.
coming up from the Gulf. That area right there is where it got the two twin supercells, each with EF4s on it.
Yeah, that was a
When?
PDS watch, I think.
That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I just remember that even the day before Easter was bad too. I mean, I sit at this desk
I
the
think
whole.
Easter Sunday
I sit
one
at
was a
that desk.
PDS. I don't think
Well, I just remember the whole Easter weekend. I was at this desk tracking tornadoes. That was the biggest weather event I think I tracked in a long time. Got up at 3 o'clock. No, 3:30 that morning and started tracking and never got a break. And I don't think we'll see that again, big event like that again. But we never can take assault and say, well, we ain't going to get that. And in a year, it can
I
happen, right?
can grain of salt. Just don't let your guard down.
And here's what irritates me, Jonathan. People use
wow.
tornado
That
sirens. People use.
and considering it hit over a holiday weekend
Mhm.
made it worse.
Yeah, I mean, people don't think a lot, and this is what irritates me too. is people using tornado sirens for the heck of it. They don't take a weather radio. They think, oh, I can use a tornado siren and live through this. You do not use a tornado siren for your warning. You need a weather radio, right, Jonathan?
Usually. And here's the deal: if there's
Well,
if there's severe weather in the morning, and say bad Mother Nature don't care, you need to have that radio beside you. You need to make sure it's got fresh batteries. You need to make sure it's been tested, so you know it works. So when that warning goes through that radio, you get up and you get downstairs.
Yeah, and people don't use it. They think they can use a tornado siren and just pass it. That's
both of
how
you, both are correct because
James Spann,
yeah, both of you are
from
correct
out.
because you need a severe weather kit. Yeah,
Well,
both of you are
we all
correct.
know.
Severe weather kit when it comes down to this stuff. Now, at Isaac's request, he told me to show this.
Okay.
And as you can see, this is the pattern. I'm looking at the model. You can see down toward Mexico, there's a big area of warmer air. Even in the, let me scroll it. And if we continue here, the blue areas are the storm systems. So you can see one storm system over California about March the 4th, which is
Wow.
expected. That's in their extended forecast. Then you get a warm, there's another storm system Friday, March 5th over Texas and
That's
Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas,
that's weaker.
Arkansas, and the center circulation is right on Arkansas. Go ahead, Ian.
That looked like a weaker one to me. One you just showed, the one that's going in. Oh,
The one on Friday.
that looks like a weaker system.
Yes, that's the one on
I'm
Friday.
I'm all expecting rain out of
Yes,
that one.
that'll be very weak. It'll just um
Be like this one,
me too.
like the
I
last
have
one, right?
rain showers for
Yeah.
Friday morning.
Okay. And
Yeah,
this
be
and
just like the last one. But you can see that storm intensifies
yeah,
on
and you
March
still
the
gotta take
6th
it.
toward
You still gotta
Florida
take the
and the
storm
East
system.
Coast.
You still gotta take that system very seriously.
Then you got the ridge in the upper pass.
Right, it's just a little bit of rain. Right, you
There's
see,
another one.
all of this is warmer air, high pressure. There's
Wow.
your high pressure system there. But over on the West Coast, you get a bigger storm system by March the 9th that'll move toward the east. And you'll have to watch that one. See how big it gets? We'll have to watch that one for about a week or so while that ridge stays over the East Coast. If then that storm system drops into Texas over March the 15th. And this is just model data, and it looks like it'll be cool for a while or near normal for most of us, and that's how far they run. So that was the one he wanted me to show you. Now I'm going to show you um,
You might want to check
this as
supercell
well.
composite too.
I want to show you this. This is the jet stream over the
Wow.
next couple of days, and you can see for the most part. I don't know why it doesn't want to run. There we go. For the most part, we get one storm system there. That's the one for Friday, just a little bit of rain. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see this next storm system over the west coast. Um, okay, so it doesn't. Okay, so it doesn't want to run.
Okay,
There's a
something about
supercell composite could help you out too. I use that to track
It,
stuff ahead of
here's
time.
temperatures. These are temperatures.
Wow.
You can see the colors. The pinks and the purples are warmer. The whites are cooler. And on this one, so there's your storm system Friday over Texas and Arkansas. And then
Mm-hmm.
we get warmer over the weekend with lots of sunshine across the Central Plains. That sunshine sticks with us through next week. It's still sunny next week, but you see this, Ian? You see the jet stream there?
I see
yep.
it.
You see
I
what it's
see it
doing?
too. It's pulling
That's when
moisture
we
up.
get a stronger storm in here
It's
by
pulling moisture up.
March 11th. So, um, yep. there you go. There's a stronger storm system over the Central Plains. Oklahoma, Kansas could
However,
have the center circulation, and that's a cold front.
however,
And
This is a cold front. And-
yeah,
that's
okay,
anytime you get a cold front, you
that's a
gotta.
cold
Oh,
front there.
I don't see anything really big happening
Yep.
in
So
that
I'm.
storm system yet, but it does
uh,
come
Jonathan, check the
true.
supercell composite. That's how I track stuff, also too.
These are farther long range, so you
Oh,
can't use the
okay.
supercell composite in a long range situation.
Oh,
You use it
okay.
shorter range.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
that's a cold front, and Ian, there's a bigger storm there
Wow.
for you. That's March the 13th. There's a
Wow. I'll
bigger
be tracking
storm
that.
up there toward the farther north, and it brings a cold front. Um, take these models with a grain of salt because we're still a
Yeah.
far ways away. But there's a bigger storm here on the 14th of March,
Wow.
and then it just gets warm again, and the jet stream shifts more summery to where the
So you
storms will
gotta
be toward
you
the
gotta
east
be
coast.
ready, folks. You gotta be ready for these storms. You can't fiddle around. You gotta. You. It's time to practice your tornado safety plan and not just wait till the day it happens.
Okay. Is that
hmm
only? Oh wait.
okay. This is another one. This is the 500 millibar vertical velocity. It shows winds in the upper atmosphere, and there'll be
Okay.
some on Friday. That's just a little rain on Friday. Um, let's see. This is Sunday, March the 7th. There's a little storm that goes through Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Here, here's Tuesday. There's a bigger storm. What do you think about
Oh.
this one, Ian? This is looks like a squall line
Oh
here
yeah.
along a cold
Anytime you
front.
get anytime you get a squall line, that's gonna produce more damage and winds, and we could just be like we were the other day. Well, I think some of these storm systems are
We'll
going to
just
turn
have to
into.
see, JD. We'll
Yep.
just have to see. So
We're gonna end it.